Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. Today I'm watching 11 Less Evil Facts About Hitler by Mitzi Studio. I watched their video about Blitzkrieg and it was awesome, especially the Erica remix, so I hope this is just as good. Bad boys in history. Oh, there's a lot of them. Quite a lot. Hitler wanted to be a painter, yeah. I think
Before
everybody
his rise to
knows
power
that.
In Germany, Hitler was an artist, trying to sell paintings and postcards to earn himself a living. He applied to be accepted by
he was
the
homeless.
Vienna Art Academy, but on the admissions exam, he was told his work was lacking emotions and empathy for the human figures. Surely no pun intended there by the admissions board. Hitler became very frustrated after applying and being rejected a second time, an event that probably in later life did not contribute anything good to Hitler's overall chill factor. After the war, the few remaining art pieces of Hitler sold for relatively large amounts of money. He could have exploited these late artistic successes, was it not for World War II and a bullet to the head.
A binge watcher?
This brutal dictator was an absolute film
What was he
buff,
watching?
especially in the evening, making him a super binge watcher mensch. There were many Hollywood films that he liked. King Kong, Snow White, or Snow Aryan White in his mind, and on top of that, he was also a great fan of...
Oh, he would despise the current bullshit that people are doing with movies. You know what? Maybe he wasn't completely wrong. I'm joking, of course. It's sad that I have to specify that I am joking, but we live in a day and age where I have to.
Laurel and Hardy. If you still believe that is not weird enough, consider he was also a fan of Disney's Mickey Mouse. I guess after a hard day of work...
I guess that makes sense. He was evil, so he liked things made by terrible companies, who we all fucking hate. Fuck Disney.
Coordinating the destruction of Europe and some occasional mass murder in between, nothing beats a good jolly mouse to keep the spirits up. This resulted with Hitler organising his own cinema nights with his guests, binge-watching all the way into the late-night hours.
He promotes non-smoking?
Hitler is often considered to be the first national leader to advocate non-smoking. Being a heavy smoker in his early life, around 40 to 45 cigarettes a day, irony joke, he realized the Aryan super race could not be associated with smoking. So, Hitler made sure a nationwide non-smoking campaign was set in place to keep the German people from smoking. Understandably, you do not want to be called a Nazi, only for people to think you are a smoker. That would be awkward.
You know what? Never mind. Hitler was not wrong about everything. He was right about some things.
In their bomb shelters. What a luxury to have. Your own non-smoking bomb shelter, while the city above you is turned into one big ashtray. Priorities. Another unexpected trait on our list is animal welfare. Hitler took a variety of measures to ensure animals were well protected. His own dog Blondie was loved and cuddled by his owner, with Hitler having Blondie in his bed in the Führer bunker. Very sweet, but not sweet enough to be an episode on The Dog Whisperer. To enforce better living conditions for animals, the Nazi regime made an effort to seriously restrict the hunting on animals. They also went as far as to send people who mistreated animals to concentration camps.
Wow.
This was during a time where they
I honestly deserved. They should send everybody who was part of PETA to concentration camps.
were even specifying guidelines on how to properly transport animals, a sentence that is very hard to process considering other events unfolding during that time. Hitler liked his cakes, eclairs, and many other creamy desserts all day long. His cook made these personalized treats, decorated with swastikas, and why not? On some days, he could eat as much as 1 kilogram of chocolate pralines. I guess a diet combining sweets and prescription drugs are not going to do you a lot of good in the long run. Nevertheless, Hitler claimed for me,
I mean, this
sweets
isn't
are the
that
best food
crazy.
for the nerves. Considering how the war was eventually going, it's not weird to see how he ended up eating so much of that. During the closing stages of the war, with the Führer trapped in his underground bunker complex, one of the last things he ate before committing suicide on April the 30th, 1945, was a cake for the nerves. The River
Excuse me?
Kwai March was a popular British war song, with one song variant having lyrics describing the missing, deformed and undersized testicles of the top Nazi leaders. At this point, it is safe to say that marketing the whole idea of an Aryan super race outside of Germany's borders is going to be challenging if people are singing songs about your battered ballsacks. It's a shame Britain's Got Talent was not around during that time. It would have brought us some awesome extra auditions to look at. In recent years, a medical report from Hitler's doctor confirms the rumours that the Führer was fighting a war on two fronts with just one testicle.
He only had one testicle? I wonder how he lost the other one. He did take part in World War I, so maybe he sustained some sort of injury then? Or maybe it was the drugs.
Hitler claimed to eat healthy, but never mentioned all the sweets he ate. In hindsight, this should not really be the thing to judge him for. Near the end of his life, Hitler followed a more vegetarian diet, including a lot of greens like carrots, broccoli, tomatoes, and a lot of peas. Albert Speer noted, at the dinner table, Hitler mentioned gruesome suffering and slaughter of animals, trying to dissuade his colleagues from eating meat. Again, it is hard to ignore the irony here, with Hitler lecturing
he was a
people
vegetarian?
about moral standards.
He wanted people to eat less meat? Shit, he really was evil. Like, Holocaust aside, this motherfucker is evil.
Basically on any subject whatsoever.
Okay, he farted a lot.
Der Führer, meaning leader,
is that
was
really
known
worth
also as
mentioning?
Der Furzer, meaning farter, because of his uncontrollable gases. Hitler's personal doctor, Theodor Morell, provided the Führer Furzer with medicines to counter these problems. Hitler's vigorous speeches might have been less impressive if every other sentence was interrupted by a gassy melody. Although Hitler complimented his own doctor for the treatments, multiple counterclaims were made on the pills he was getting. And after many years, the farting was still there, combined with many new health problems. For all the criticism Hitler took over the years, it is hard to say anything good about the man without raising eyebrows. But, to be fair, in a few cases Hitler was outmatched in evilness by one certain individual. To be a general serving under Hitler's command was actually a better position to be in than being a general serving Stalin.
Yeah, no
shit. You might be
shit.
guessing where this is going. Yep, if you fucked up with Stalin breathing down your neck, you could be pretty sure to end up in a ditch with a skull looking like a bowling ball.
Not surprising for anybody
Hitler
who knows
mostly just
history.
sacked his generals for being dumbasses, not executing them in mass numbers just to make a point. However, it did not make him Employer of the Month just yet. Ah, poor guy. It is safe to say that taking over the world was not a family-run business entirely. His own nephew, William Patrick Hitler, was serving in the United States Navy from 1944 to 1947. If you think that is not awkward enough, before he fled to the US, he blackmailed his uncle for years by threatening to leak embarrassing family stories to the press. When he suspected a trap was set up for him, he fled Germany and eventually obtained US citizenship and joined the Navy afterwards. After the war, William changed his name William Patrick Hitler to William Stuart Houston, although it would have been more fitting to change it to That William Who Fucked with Hitler.
What?
There are multiple theories that the introduction of the sex doll has its roots going back to the Nazi era. According to some, it was the Führer himself who invented the use of sex dolls for his frontline troops, so they were less likely to contract non-Aryan transmittable diseases on their own. You know, with many German troops.
So they were less likely to fuck the people who they just conquered. Stalin could learn a thing or two from Hitler. Maybe that would have stopped all the mass rapes, or reduced them, when the Soviet army started to push the Germans back. Soviets, Nazis, same thing. They both sucked.
Deployed in France, the biggest threat to the German Wehrmacht was not frontline action, but streets filled with prostitutes swinging legs around their men, turning every French town or city into one big French STD fest. This was unacceptable to Hitler, who came up with the idea to design special sex dolls, all with blue eyes and blonde hair. Difficult to swap your doll with your friends, though, if you prefer something else from time to time. Yes, life was hard for a German soldier stationed in France in 1941. In the end, the dolls were not a very big success, mostly because of the embarrassment soldiers had with carrying the dolls around. To which, duh, how weird is that? seeing a German Wehrmacht
I'd
soldier
rather just
gearing
not
up
have
his
sex.
Mauser, hand grenades, MG ammunition, and finally, his inflatable sex doll. Very superior Master Race kind of stuff. Eventually, the factory where these dolls were made was also targeted and bombed by the RAF, destroying the entire building and taking the lives of over 200 innocent inflatables.
How could they? How could they do something so horrible? Even Hitler was right about some things, which is not surprising because even the most evil and terrible of people are right about certain things. For example, let's say I say that everybody should be treated equally, and then I go out and I murder a bunch of people. I'm a terrible person, but what I said was not wrong, so it's not that surprising Hitler said a lot of stuff that I agree with. Don't take that out of context though. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, consider subscribing and leaving a like. If you're interested, why not watch this video right here? And with that, I hope I'll see you in the next video.